last government ever proposed or ever did.
Question number 3, the Honourable Simon Bridges.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Prime Minister, does she stand by all of her statements, answers and actions in relation to Carol Schrubeck?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes.
Does she stand by her statement last week there will be members of Parliament who would quite possibly have been associated with Carol Schrubeck and those who made representations on his behalf?
Mr Speaker, yes, I believe that was an answer given on my behalf by the Deputy Prime Minister, and yes.
Has she checked if any in her government fit that description?
Mr Speaker, as I mentioned last week when I was directly asked about my knowledge of those who made direct representations in this case, I do not know who made direct representations as part of this case, and so I simply could not answer that question then and cannot now.
Find out.
Given that I've now asked several times in this House, will she find out?
Mr Speaker, I believe the member has an Official Information Act request around this question, but when it comes to the direct... Mr Speaker...
Order. The Prime Minister resume her seat. Can I just ask that if members on my left actually want an answer, they listen? Order. Amy Adams. Did you interject after my comment then?
I did.
Sam, withdraw and apologise.
I withdraw and apologise.
Prime Minister.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, just to complete, Mr Speaker, my understanding is the member has Official Information Act request in around the representations that were made.
No, I am going to ask the Prime Minister to... I think she was asked, will she find out? And I think that doesn't... The fact that that member is going to find out, unless she reads them, doesn't mean that she's answered the question.
Oh, look, Mr Speaker, in answer to the question, the member has repeatedly asked me who made direct representations in the case. I assume he means to Immigration New Zealand as part of the investigation. I simply do not have responsibility for the decision that was made. I have not been involved in the decision was made, and nor would it be appropriate for me to be involved in the decision that was made. Hence the fact I do not know who made representations or was involved with Immigration New Zealand.
No. Dr Smith will now stand, withdraw and apologise.
What for?
For making 4 inappropriate interjections during that question.
I withdraw and apologise. Point of order.
A point of order, Dr Nick Smith.
What is inappropriate about an interjection that says, will she find out?
The member didn't say she. Ian Nees-Galloway.
Can the Prime Minister confirm that she asked the Minister of Immigration if any Member of Parliament made any representations to him prior to making either of these decisions, and that the answer to that question was no?
Right. What I'm going to do is ask who made that interjection.
It was me, Mr Speaker.
Stand, withdraw and apologise.
I withdraw and apologise.
Thank you. Repeat.
Mr Speaker, yes.
Is it a case of see no evil, hear no evil, because quite possibly...
Order. The member will resume his seat. He will start a question that is in order and does not contain any irony.
Is it the case that the Prime Minister doesn't want to know about the representations because quite possibly there are associations in her government with Carol Schrubeck?
Mr Speaker, no. And as I have pointed out in the public domain previously before, the first, for instance, that I knew of this case was when it was in the media and once the decision had already been made. It is most appropriate that the Minister deals with these cases, and as he himself has confirmed, no MP made any representations directly to him around this case.
Does she accept that New Zealanders need to have confidence in the appearance of things here and decisions and processes regarding Carol Schrubeck and her government, and so she should find out?
Yes, Mr Speaker, I do accept that, which is why I asked the Minister the question. It is important to know whether or not any Member of Parliament made any direct representation to him on this case. As he confirmed to me at the time and has done again in the House today, they did not. And again, as I've said, the first I knew of this case was when it was in the public domain.
When will we see the representations made on behalf of Carol Shrewbeck?
Mr Speaker, as I mentioned, my understanding is that there is an Official Information Act request in with the member, with the Minister. I understand that that might be available, I think, obviously within the 21-day window, so in the coming weeks, I would imagine, Mr Speaker.
Follow the process.
Does she know any people who made representations?
Again, Mr Speaker, I don't want to be circular here. I don't know who made representations with Immigration New Zealand. Obviously, the members put in an OIA and that information will be provided to him. But I simply do not know who had contact with Immigration New Zealand in this case, but I have asked whether or not any MPs did, and as the Minister said, no one made representations to him themselves or on anyone else's behalf.
Very good answer. Question number 4, Dr. Deborah Russell.
Tēnā koe te monga o whare.